In the remote northern reaches of Norway, nestled deep within the Arctic Circle, lies a landscape sculpted by ice and time. This is the Rana region, a place of stark, unforgiving beauty where the winter sun barely crests the horizon, casting long ethereal shadows across a world blanketed in white. Here, beneath this vast expanse of ice and snow, hidden from the casual eye, lies a secret world, a gateway to the planet's deep geological past. It is an entrance that appears as little more than a dark scar on the frozen earth. A simple wooden sign marks the spot, Plura Grotta, known in English as the Plura Cave. To descend into its depths is to enter a realm of staggering, almost alien beauty, a place that balances its breathtaking allure with immense ever-present danger. This subterranean marvel was carved over countless millennia by the relentless flow of the Plura River, which patiently dissolved its way through the soluble ancient limestone and marble bedrock. The result is a complex network of passages that wind for over 2 kilometers underground, a sprawling labyrinth of both air-filled chambers and completely submerged tunnels. Inside, the cave system is a gallery of geological art, showcasing magnificent marble formations, and in winter, surreal icy tunnels where the frozen breath of the surface world meets the dark water below. Its waters, fed by glacial melt, are not just cold, they are brutally, dangerously frigid. The temperature remains at a near freezing 2 degrees Celsius or 35 degrees Fahrenheit all year round. This extreme cold is not merely uncomfortable, it is a constant threat, capable of causing equipment to freeze and fail and rapidly draining a diver's strength and body heat. Plura Grotta also holds the title of the deepest cave in northern Europe, with sections plunging to depths of over 130 meters. This depth makes it a siren call to the world's most audacious and highly skilled technical explorers. For the global community of cave divers, Plura Grotta is a legendary destination, a bucket list location that tests the limits of human endurance and technology. It attracts more adventurers than any other cave in Scandinavia, each drawn by the promise of exploring one of Earth's last true frontiers. The reward for braving the crushing cold is the cave's extraordinary clarity. On a good day, the water is so pure that a diver's powerful light can cut through the darkness for more than 20 meters or 66 feet, revealing the colossal scale of the chambers and the intricate details of the rock. But the cave does not give up its secrets easily. It is a place that demands absolute respect, meticulous skill, and an unwavering, almost meditative focus. Every dive here is a calculated risk, a meticulously planned expedition into a realm where the rules of the surface world are utterly irrelevant. Here, survival is not measured in hours, but in minutes of available gas, in precise decompression stops, and a single, seemingly minor mistake, a snagged guideline, a malfunctioning valve, a moment of disorientation, can have immediate and irreversible consequences. The silence beneath the ice is profound, a heavy, pressing quiet, broken only by the rhythmic mechanical sound of a diver's breathing. Each inhalation, a precious resource. Each exhalation, a reminder of the fragile thread connecting them to life. The cave feels ancient, primordial, and utterly indifferent to the fleeting presence of human visitors. For those who enter, it offers a rare and humbling glimpse into the vastness of geological time. Yet, this profound beauty conceals a deadly potential. The narrow passages, known as restrictions, can be so tight that divers must remove equipment to squeeze through. The extreme depths bring the risk of nitrogen narcosis, a disorienting intoxication that impairs judgment when it is needed most. And always, there is the brutal, relentless cold, a constant enemy that saps energy and focus. These challenges combined can overwhelm even the most seasoned experts. Plura Grotta is a place where the thrill of adventure and the finality of tragedy are separated by the thinnest of margins. But for true explorers, the allure of the unknown is a powerful, irresistible force. In February of 2014, during the deepest cold of the Norwegian winter, a team of 5 Finnish divers stood at the edge of this frozen abyss, their breath misting in the frigid air. They were not novices seeking a thrill. They were seasoned experts, part of an elite global fraternity of technical cave divers. More than just a team, they were close friends, bonded by years of shared experiences and a mutual passion for exploring the world's most challenging and remote underwater environments. They had trained for this. They had planned for this. They believed they were prepared for any eventuality. It was supposed to be a routine traverse, an ambitious but achievable dive through the cave system, a definitive test of their collective skill and endurance. But the cave had other plans. Not everyone who descended into the darkness would come back. This is their story. If you're fascinated by real-life survival stories and the unyielding power of the human spirit, make sure to subscribe to our channel. We are dedicated to sharing true stories from the depths and the peaks, exploring the moments that define both unimaginable courage and profound loss. The plan was audacious, bordering on the impossible. In the heart of a Norwegian winter, with surface temperatures plummeting far below freezing, they aimed to conquer a subterranean giant. This wasn't just a dive. It was an expedition into the Earth's hidden veins, a place of profound beauty and unforgiving danger. The team of 5, a brotherhood of Finland's most elite technical divers, had travelled to this remote corner of Norway for one reason: Patrick Gronkvist, the meticulous planner; Harri Huotarinen, the seasoned veteran; Vesa Rantanen, the calm anchor of the group; Harri Usimaki, known for his quiet strength; and Kai Kankanen, the youngest, but no less experienced. Together, they intended to complete a full traverse of the Plura Cave system, a feat few had ever attempted, and even fewer in the brutal conditions of winter. Their journey would begin by descending through a small hole cut in the surface ice of the Plura River's resurgence pool. From there, they would navigate a labyrinth of submerged tunnels for more than half a kilometre, a silent alien world of sculpted rock and absolute blackness. The goal was to emerge in a dry, air-filled cave called Steinugelflaget, high up on the mountainside, before hiking back down. It was a grueling 5-hour journey from entry to exit, a marathon of endurance and precision. The route would force them to the cave's deepest point, pushing to depths over 130 meters, that's 430 feet, where the water temperature hovered just above freezing and the pressure is 14 times greater than at the surface. To cover the vast distances efficiently, each diver was equipped with powerful underwater scooters, or DPVs, allowing them to conserve precious energy and gas. They relied on closed-circuit rebreathers, sophisticated devices that recycle exhaled air, scrubbing carbon dioxide, and adding precise amounts of oxygen. This technology allowed for extended dive times and optimized gas consumption, but it also added layers of complexity and potential failure points. This was a tight-knit group, forged by years of shared passion for extreme diving. They were more than a team. They were a family, bound by an unspoken trust that is essential when your life depends on the person next to you. They understood the immense risks and had meticulously planned every detail, from gas mixtures to decompression schedules. Every contingency was discussed, every emergency procedure rehearsed. Their equipment was state-of-the-art, a collection of the best gear money could buy, each piece a critical component in their life support system. Their training was extensive, honed over countless hours in less demanding environments. They had protocols for catastrophic equipment failure, for becoming separated, for a diver becoming incapacitated. They were acutely aware of the insidious effects of nitrogen narcosis at great depths, a phenomenon often called the martini effect, where every 10 meters of depth is said to feel like drinking one martini on an empty stomach. At 130 meters, the impairment could be profound, slowing thought and distorting judgment. As they prepared their gear on the frozen surface, their movements were a display of focused professionalism. Each action was deliberate, each piece of equipment checked and double-checked. They were confident in their abilities and, more importantly, in each other. They were ready to face one of the ultimate challenges in the world of technical cave diving. Like the mountaineers who scale Everest or the astronauts who venture into space, these men were explorers, driven to push the boundaries of human capability. These men were no exception. They were drawn to the silent, dark places of the world, the final frontiers on our own planet, untouched by most of humanity. For them, the Plura Traverse was more than just a dive. It was the culmination of years of training, a testament to their shared dedication and obsession. But in this environment, there is no margin for error. Even the most skilled and prepared divers know that one small oversight, one piece of failing gear, or one moment of impaired judgment can lead to a fatal mistake. Yet the pull of the deep, the allure of the unknown, is a siren's call, often stronger than the rational fear of the consequences. With final checks complete, they slipped one by one into the black, icy water, leaving the world of light and air behind. They were entering a realm of profound isolation, their only connection to each other and to the way out being a thin nylon guideline. The journey ahead would test their physical limits against the crushing cold and immense pressure. It would test their mental fortitude against the disorienting darkness and the ever-present risk. And in the hours to come, it would test the bonds of their friendship in a way none of them could have ever imagined. In the heart of the mountain, where the weight of rock and water exerts a pressure almost 14 times greater than at the surface, a simple mistake can be the difference between life and death. For the Finnish dive team, that moment was about to arrive. Deep within the Plura Cave system, at a crushing depth of 130 meters, the team was navigating the most challenging section of their planned route. The water temperature hovered just above freezing, a constant seeping cold that leached warmth from their bodies despite their heavy-duty dry suits. Here, the world was reduced to what their powerful lights could reveal, a narrow, unforgiving fissure in the ancient rock. They were operating at the very edge of human endurance, relying on complex closed-circuit rebreathers that recycled their breathing gas, a technology essential for a dive of this magnitude, but one that carried its own unique and insidious risks. The passage, known as the Steinugel restriction, had narrowed significantly, forcing them to move in a slow, deliberate single file. The rock walls pressed in, so close that a careless movement could dislodge their equipment or stir up clouds of silt, blinding them in an instant. Communication was limited to hand signals and the silent language of experience, reading a teammate's movements and the rhythm of their exhaust bubbles.
Jari Huotarinen, an experienced and respected cave diver, was at the front, his light a beacon in the oppressive dark. He was the tip of the spear, carefully negotiating the tightest point of the restriction. Directly behind him, Patrick Gronkvist kept a watchful eye, his own light illuminating Huotarinen's fins and equipment, ready to assist at a moment's notice. They were a well-practiced team, moving with a familiar, synchronized grace.
Then, in this claustrophobic passage, the first, almost imperceptible sign of trouble appeared. The steady forward momentum ceased. Huotarinen suddenly stopped, his progress halted. For a moment, Gronkvist might have assumed it was a routine pause to check gauges or adjust buoyancy. But the stillness stretched for a few seconds too long. The silence, usually a comfort in the deep, began to feel heavy with unspoken tension. Huotarinen tried to move forward, then backward. The smooth, efficient movements of a moment before were gone, replaced by short, urgent jerks. It was clear he wasn't just pausing. He was well and truly stuck. A piece of equipment, likely the tow cord for his underwater scooter, or perhaps a bailout cylinder valve, had become entangled on a sharp, unseen rock protrusion. It was a common problem in the tight confines of cave diving, a frustrating but usually manageable inconvenience. But at this depth, under this immense pressure, any delay was dangerous. Every second spent struggling increased physical exertion, which in turn accelerated the consumption of both oxygen and the CO2 scrubber material in his rebreather. The physical struggle triggered a physiological cascade. Huotarinen's breathing rate, visible to Gronkvist by the quickening pace of his exhaust bubbles, began to spike. This was a critical danger sign. On a rebreather, the diver's own lungs power the circulation of gas through the system. Rapid, shallow breathing doesn't just waste energy. It fails to push the exhaled gas fully through the CO2-absorbing chemical scrubber. As a result, the carbon dioxide level in the breathing loop begins to climb. This condition, hypercapnia, is a silent killer. It impairs judgment, causes severe headaches, and creates a suffocating feeling of air hunger, which only drives the diver to breathe faster, creating a deadly feedback loop that ultimately leads to panic and blackout. Huotarinen was caught in this vicious cycle. Gronkvist, watching his friend's frantic movements, recognized the signs of extreme distress. The problem was no longer a simple snag, it was a full-blown medical emergency. He had to act decisively. Unclipping one of his own bailout cylinders, a separate tank of gas running on a traditional open-circuit system, he moved as close as the passage would allow. The idea was to get Hutarinen off the compromised rebreather. Switching to the open-circuit bailout gas, which would vent his exhalations directly into the water, would immediately flush the excess CO2 from his system and hopefully break the cycle of panic. It was a desperate, high-stakes maneuver. Performing a gas switch in zero visibility, under extreme psychological and physiological stress, and wedged inside a rock coffin 130 meters underwater, is one of the most difficult procedures a diver can face. But in the process of changing breathing apparatus, the worst possible thing happened. In his panicked, CO2-impaired state, Huotarinen's coordination was failing. As he removed his rebreather mouthpiece to accept the bailout regulator from Gronkvist, his body's primal urge to breathe took over. He inhaled. Instead of the life-giving gas he so desperately needed, his lungs filled with the frigid black water of the Plura Cave. The effect was immediate and catastrophic. The shock of the icy water triggered an uncontrollable laryngospasm, his airway slamming shut as his body convulsed violently. For Gronkvist, time seemed to warp, stretching into an eternity of horror. He was mere inches away, helpless, as he watched his friend and long-time diving partner die in the most brutal way imaginable. The violent struggle lasted only seconds before it ceased, replaced by an awful, final stillness. The man who had led them into the cave with such confidence was now a still form, lifeless in the narrow passage he had failed to clear. He had become a permanent part of the cave he loved, and in doing so, had become an immovable obstacle. The initial tragedy had struck, but the disaster was only just beginning. The path forward was blocked. The only way out was back the way they came. But behind Gronkvist, the other three members of the team were still waiting, their lights glowing anxiously in the dark, unaware of the horror that had just unfolded. They were all trapped deep inside the mountain. The retreat was chaotic. Gronkvist, in shock, had to maneuver around his friend's body. The silt kicked up by the initial struggle had reduced visibility to zero. As the remaining four divers began their desperate ascent, another crisis was unfolding in the darkness. Police would later theorize that Jari Usimaki, the fourth diver in the line, seeing the commotion and the silt cloud ahead, and perhaps already suffering from the effects of nitrogen narcosis at this extreme depth, panicked. In cave diving, the guideline is your only lifeline to the surface. To lose it is to be lost forever. In his terror, Usimaki may have become separated from the line, or perhaps made a fatal navigational error while trying to find a way around the blockage. Somewhere in the dark water, alone and disoriented, Jari Usimaki perished. The team of 5 was now a team of 3. The 3 survivors, Gronkvist, Kai Kankkonen, and Vesa Rantanen, pushed toward the distant promise of air and light, completely unaware of the second loss behind them. Their journey back was a living nightmare, a slow, arduous ascent through the freezing blackness, haunted by the knowledge of what lay below and driven by the primal need to survive. Their dive computers, strapped to their wrists, screamed with digital warnings. The unplanned time spent at depth dealing with the emergency had consumed a critical amount of their breathing gas. The screens flashed red. Deco violation, low gas, they were running on fumes. To avoid decompression sickness, or the bends, a diver must ascend slowly, making mandatory stops at specific depths to allow the inert gases absorbed by their body tissues under pressure to safely off-gas. Their dive plan had called for over 4 hours of decompression. Now, they didn't have nearly enough gas for that. They were forced to shorten their stops, a terrible, agonizing gamble. Each minute they cut from their decompression dramatically raised the risk of crippling or fatal decompression sickness, where gas bubbles form in the blood and tissues, causing excruciating pain, paralysis, or death. They faced an impossible choice: remain at depth and certainly run out of air, or race to the surface and pray they survive the physiological consequences. They chose the latter, a desperate bet to simply reach the surface alive. The 3 remaining divers finally broke the surface. They had descended as a team of 5 confident explorers. They surfaced as 3 shattered survivors. The original 5-hour dive plan had turned into a grueling 11-hour ordeal. All 3 men were suffering from severe decompression sickness, causing excruciating pain and neurological damage. The 3 survivors were airlifted to Tromsø University Hospital and rushed into a decompression chamber for emergency treatment. The Norwegian authorities called on an international team, which included British divers Richard Stanton, John Valanthan and Jason Mallinson, to recover the bodies. After reconnaissance diving at the site, the operation was judged too difficult. The risk of losing more lives was deemed unacceptably high. The official recovery mission was called off. Authorities seal off the cave, declaring it too dangerous for recovery. The mountain became their grave. Families are heartbroken. The victims' bodies are left entombed beneath the ice, until someone decided that couldn't be the end.
I told the widow that we would go and get them.
I told her that they are not going to be left there, that we would think of something. Hypothermia, decompression sickness, the same narrow tunnel that killed their friends. They would operate in complete secrecy, smuggling their gear across the border into Norway. The act of cutting the police tape was a symbolic and irreversible step. They descended again into the black water, retracing the same fatal route. Working with his partner, they began the delicate, grim process of freeing the body. After a tense search, they found him. Against all odds, they found and recovered both bodies. It's one of the most dangerous recovery dives ever completed. Finally, after a grueling 6-hour operation, the first body bag broke the surface. The team then made an anonymous call to the Norwegian police, informing them that the bodies were waiting for them at the side of a nearby road. Human bravery and the obsession with the unknown endure here. In the darkness beneath the ice, they found not only their fallen friends, but the true limits of courage. The documentary Diving into the Unknown was later made about this mission. The film, directed by Juan Reyna, uses footage captured by the divers themselves, offering an unflinchingly honest and intimate look at their ordeal. The story serves as a somber reminder that in the contest between humanity and the raw, ancient power of the planet, nature often has the final say, but it also shows that in the aftermath of loss, the human capacity for courage, loyalty, and compassion can shine with a light that penetrates even the deepest darkness. If this story moved you, subscribe for more true documentaries from the world's most dangerous places.